and we need to be getting to a place where we are using land more efficiently. And it's interesting actually, because our guests in studio today are the next generation coming up, and they're going to tell us exactly what the experts are doing wrong. I mentioned last week that I was going to be paying a visit to the transition year students in Newpark Comprehensive in Dublin, and I did that this morning, and I went in to meet them because they're engaged in a course of property economics. And I'm not sure that they believe or they trust or they have confidence in the experts to fix the housing crisis. And when I went in this...
Why don't we switch to them instead of... We'll get back to Patrick later on, Patrick Rowland. Excuse
Absolutely.
my croaking voice. I don't know where this croak came from, but I woke up yesterday morning and there it was. But anyhow, we might get just back to Patrick in a few moments. But
of course.
We have Dennis O'Connor and Saul Light from Newpark Comprehensive, and they're with us, as you say, because they want to talk about projects that are working on in the schools. So, Carol, why don't you just take it up with them?
Okay, so as mentioned, I was in the school this morning, and I can tell you they're an innovative bunch, not a very talkative bunch, but an innovative bunch.
Well, we'll see about that now. Now we're on air.
Well, I can tell you now, I spoke with their teacher, Miss Ahern, and I know that they've been doing some tremendous work. So we're joined in studio this evening by two students from Newpark Comprehensive, Dennis O'Connor and Saul Light, and they're going to talk to us. I mean, Dennis, we'll start with you. You might just explain what the programme you're doing in transition year is.
Okay, so basically the class there was creative solutions to the housing crisis and where you can find affordable housing going forward in the future. Mm-hmm. And I was, the Tree Arena, they're building a building called the EXO building, which is actually just placed there, I think 2 years ago or whatever.
That's right.
And basically, it's apparently going to be one of the tallest office buildings in Dublin. Mm-hmm. And it was bought by a European investment fund from NAMA. Personally, I think that the government had an opportunity to buy that big open area near the Tree Arena, and they could have built affordable housing for the Ringsend and East Wall community so that people would be able to live where they were growing up in. Mm-hmm. So,
but the question there then, Dennis, is that could have been, do you know if it was designated for housing or designated for office space?
It was actually designated for office, and it still is designated for, but I'm saying that it would have been an opportunity for the government to be able to buy and be able to make affordable housing there.
Right, yeah, sure.
I actually think that's a really important point, and in fact one of the points I made with the students this morning is that sometimes the experts are a little bit blinded by what they know, that they don't look at the opportunities, and in fact by taking in the opinions of the students who are living in and around Dublin, they're socialising in and around Dublin, and all of their hobbies are in and around Dublin, so they actually have a different perspective on the city and how it should be used. So it's not, I don't think it's good enough to say that land was designated for one use, so therefore it gets used as that. I do think that we need to consult with the public more and say, how ought this be used? How ought this land be used? And that's maybe what didn't happen, or if it did happen, how community-wide was that consultation?
City council planning, I suppose, Carol, would it?
Well, it's more actually that we're getting we're asking the question about public consultation. Are the public being consulted with? And if they are all sectors of the community being engaged with? And I'm not convinced that they are, because in fact one of the things we saw this morning is that the community in the schoolroom didn't realise that they had a voice in the planning, and that's something that's missing. So what I want to do is say, okay, if we were to look at the affordable area for Ringsend, how would you have proposed using it?
Well, instead of building office spaces, I think that they should have built like maybe apartments instead, because it is going to be the tallest building in Dublin, and they should have put it to use. A lot of people near Ringsend and the East Wall, or even in Dublin, can't really afford the housing, and it's very hard for them to be able to afford rent, and even like the prices for the houses are going up massively. Sure. And it would be better if the government had stepped up and actually was able to buy it to make affordable housing.
Do you know how many floors are going to be in this?
There's going to be it's going to be 7 floors. 17 floors.
That's right.
17 floors.
Yeah.
And it's all going to be used for office spaces.
Okay.
But I also heard that it might have been, there's going to be half of the site is actually also going to be used for a luxury hotel, but I'm not sure how true that is.
But ironically speaking, too, Dan, it's a very good point you're making, Dennis, because if you go up from there, Spencer Dock, I mean, it's full of very, very expensive apartments.
Yeah.
And certainly, most people in that area, certainly, and I mean, I won't even talk about that area, I couldn't afford to live down there. And I believe that most of them are corporately rented now at the moment. So it's not giving anyone down there a look in at all in terms of living.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think that the fact they're building luxury hotel, like that's just really, in my opinion, is kind of rubbing in their face.
Okay.
Yeah.
And actually, that's a really good point. I think the most pertinent thing there is, as Dennis said, we need to be building homes for people who have grown up in that community. So we don't have a situation where people who have grown up in the community, their parents might live there, they want to live there, they want to raise their families there, yet they're pushed out because of affordability issues. So actually, Dennis, I think you're spot on, and it's something that actually the experts in the industry were probably very late to recognise. So thank you for that. And
I believe Patrick Fonan now is back up in the. Do you want to? We'll bring in Saul. Okay, yeah. Saul.
Yeah. So Saul, you've been looking a little bit further than the Three Arena site. You're interested maybe in issues outside of the capital.
Yeah, I found there was an abandoned, derelict industrial buildings around Howth, and I actually just recently found out that they are building there and they are doing apartments and they are providing a lot of housing space, and I'm also confused why they're not doing that as where Dennis said.
Yeah, and look, that is such an important point. So, as part of your course, have you guys actually been taking a look at the city to see where there is unused space or underused spaces?
Yeah, we've been looking a lot in rural Ireland, and we've been looking in mainly centre town areas where there's a lot of derelict buildings where squatters are.
Very good.
And thinking about renovating the houses.
And bringing those homes back to use. And again, that's a very important strategy. But Saul, you might just tell us a little bit about the school projects there, some of the ideas that you guys had to tackle the housing crisis.
Well, some of the ideas were, as in such, the M50. There was, I do believe, in England, there was a proposal of building above the railway tracks and making a platform so that houses can be built on top. And I researched that the M50 is, I do believe, 53 kilometres long, and that the Dart is 45. So that is a lot of open area for us to build up platforms and then put houses on top.
So essentially it would turn those into not subterranean, but they would effectively, there'd be a whole lifespan happening over it.
Over the motorways and over the Dartland.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one.
Because there was also a proposal there, wasn't there, to build houses over the canal?
Yeah.
Houseboats on the canal, was it?
Well, no, I think
it was also...
It was basically, they were thinking of building houses on, the River Liffey.
Right.
But there's a lot of safety precautions they need to take in effect, because if it's windy or if it gets very, if a child falls into the Liffey, they're going to go away, And it's. I don't think it would be a really good idea. I think it would be a good idea and a bad idea. But they have to take the safety precautions into effect.
And there was also talk of building houses into Leary Harbour.
Well, and actually that's something that the guys were talking about today as well, the floating homes in Dún Laoghaire Harbour. Again, that's another another potential solution in order to provide homes. One of the other things we spoke about when we went into the school was about forms of rapid build or modular construction, and I made the point that a lot of these solutions need to come from outside of the industry and from the next generation, people who are having trouble fitting into the housing market. And I'm conscious that we were speaking to, what ages are your class? 16?
16.
Thereabouts. So we're conscious that these are people who are going to be likely using the student accommodation over the next number of years. So affordability across all sectors of the market is very important. But can you tell me, for the project for the rest of the year, what would you like to see achieved over the next year?
Dennis?
I would probably like to see if we could possibly suss out more places that we can actually build, affordable housing, because it would probably be massive opportunity for the school to be able to do that, and to help people who really don't have that much money, to help them get into affordable housing would be absolutely amazing. And I think it will reduce the stress of the people who are struggling.
For lower paid people,
For lower paid
essentially.
people, exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's badly needed in Dublin.
Yeah, and I think what I really say is the real estate is, if you're buying a real estate, as again, it's mainly going to be the rich people who are buying them, because they can also buy it wherever they want, and it's not fair on the...
Well, also it's down to availability as well, isn't it? I mean, the fact is that there isn't much affordable housing on the market at the moment anyway.
Yes.
You know?
Okay. Well, look, I have to say, first of all, thank you both so much. Dennis and Saul, thank you both so much. And also, thank you to Miss Ahern. You're so lucky to have somebody who's so innovative and looking for solutions outside of the school. So that's at Newpark Comprehensive. And in fact, what I would do is do a call out to anybody in the industry who's actually looking to partner with the school on a CSR project. Here are a bunch of students. They're coming up with lots of innovative ideas. They want people to go in and help them. They need support to do this, and I think there's some resources there that could really be put to use. So I would like to thank you both so much for coming in, and